There we go. All right. So with that, I'm very pleased to introduce for our Zero Waste Month uh, kickoff conversation our guest today. Uh, we have Marty Morato Hill, who is the CEO of Go Zero Waste, and he's joining us from a train in Madrid, possibly. But he's the one who has the Go Zero Waste app. So if he's not able to join us today, then please go download that app. I think you'll really like it. We also have Leo Gibo, who's Director of Global Sustainability with Know Before. Leo has 15 years of experience in the sustainability space, and she currently drives zero waste goals and manages sustainability programs. She's an LEEDAP, a true advisor, and a certified climate change ambassador. And she specializes in sustainability training and engagement and in corporate zero waste goals. So with that, welcome, Leo. We're so happy to have you here.
Thank you. Glad to be here. And I downloaded the app as well, and I started the challenges yesterday, so I definitely recommend people download that app.
Oh, good. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess I wanted to start the conversation with you, um, just a little bit about, what was your first personally towards reducing waste, or, how did you learn about zero waste, or what led you to try, reducing or
Yeah.
changing the way that you live?
Yeah. So I feel like it goes back to when I was a child, honestly. Both of my parents were raised in Asia in a time where resources were tight, and so they've just always been naturally zero waste people. So that's the way I was raised. And when you said earlier, your goal is to make it a sort of an automatic lifestyle. That's how it's been for me for most of my life, really. So I feel like I almost cheated because I didn't have to think about it. I was just raised that way. But I would say once I became independent and was living on my own, I think the first big thing I did, beyond recycling and everything else, was creating my own compost. I was so used to using the parents' compost, but then doing it myself was sort of a bigger step. So I would say that was the one thing as an adult, in my own place, was creating my own composting.
That's great.
Yeah.
Um, so how did that then shift to to you trying zero waste in your business, in your
Yeah.
organization? What was that? What did that look like? Was there an
So,
event or?
No, actually, it was interesting. I started here 4.5 years ago, and I came from local government. So I was actually learning. I was studying to become the capital TRUE, a
Yeah.
true zero waste advisor, at my previous job. And so when I interviewed, I was going through the training, studying and everything. And when they hired me, I had just become a certified true advisor the week before. So it was just perfect timing. And one of the first things I asked when I started here was, "Hey, can I create a zero waste platform or program?" And they're like, "Of course." So luckily, I mean, I'm very blessed to be working for a company that has embraced sustainability at all facets. Like I've just gotten the green light, one thing after another. Like everything I've brought to the table, I think I've gotten a green light for. And one of the very first things was the zero waste program. So it's been really exciting because it's from the moment we put in a sustainability program here at Know Before, we were also working on our zero waste goals.
That's really great.
Yeah.
Um, so what what felt the most challenging when you were trying to do that? Were there some barriers that you had to
Yeah.
overcome within the company or with people?
Yeah. So, no, I would say, I mean, we have an amazing group of employees, who, for the most part, really care about the environment. So I think intuitively they all really they were excited to have this program in place. They were excited to be able to reduce their waste. The biggest challenge, hands down, it's funny, it's the first thing I did at home, but the biggest challenge at work has been composting. So we're located in Florida. People outside of Florida, this might not make sense, but if you're in Florida, you'll understand. We have no industrial composting. It's definitely in our region, but for the most part, I think in our state, we're lacking the industrial composting infrastructure. So that's been really difficult. It's again, one of the first things I wanted to do when I got here. And 4.5 years later, just this month, we finally have mills in all of our break rooms. And so that's how we finally combated it, is through the mill composting. It's going very well, but that was 4.5 years in the making. So that's been frustrating because obviously intuitively we know we need to get organics out of the waste stream. So the fact that we have no help from government or from, local haulers or anything to do that is very frustrating.
Do you think there are, I mean, I guess this is a for people and for businesses, are there certain things that hold people back from trying this or trying composting or zero waste? Is it education or is it lack of interest?
I think maybe a little of all of that. I think one of the things that holds people back is thinking if they're not doing everything, then they might as well not do anything. Like I
Mm.
can't get it perfect the first time, I'm not going to bother. Um, and so I think in terms of composting specifically with the jurisdictions, I think probably it's a financial thing. They haven't built the infrastructure in the past, and now it's a big ask for them to do it. But for I think anybody starting to want to reduce their waste or if they're not already reducing their waste, they're thinking either, well, I don't know exactly what I'm doing, and it's if I'm not doing this, then why bother doing that? Or they think it's expensive. But honestly, if you look at zero waste, it's really more affordable typically to reduce your waste. If you're buying in bulk, you're paying less than, buying individual packets. Or if you're repairing instead of just buying new, that's obviously going to save you money. So I think there's a couple of sort of myths out there that need overcoming. And I think we got our other speaker.
We do. Hi, Marty.
Hello, how are you?
How are you?
Sorry, I'm late.
That's okay. We're glad you made it.
Thank
Um,
you for having me.
You're welcome. We're glad to have you. Um, we went ahead and got started, but maybe I'll backtrack a little and catch you up. One of the things that we were talking about, I did introduce you and the Go Zero Waste and your app, which we're really excited about the challenge for this Zero Waste Month in there. But um, what I wanted to ask was just personally, you as a person, what got you interested in reducing waste, or how did you learn about zero waste? How did what where did that start?
It was a long time ago, like 6 years ago. My partner and I wanted to start a life without creating any kind of waste, like a New Year resolution challenge. And we wanted to do so, but we saw that we had some barriers. So we wanted to help everybody as the same way we did, and we started the company and the app because of that. Because we wanted to create a solution for all the people who want to start a zero waste life, but they don't know how to start it. So
Hmm.
that's why we started.
And how has that been for you? How has
Uh,
the business progressed?
it has been a challenge for sure. Not a lot of people wake up in the morning and think about zero waste. But at the same time, people and companies and town councils and governments are realizing that it's important. So they are like asking us to make more projects to help them. So yeah, it's been a challenge, but so far so good.
Do you think there are some myths or ways of thinking about zero waste or reducing waste that hold people back from even trying to start?
Well, there is one that is a big challenge that they think that recycle is not an option because at the end they put everything together. So that is the first barrier we find. But then when they say that, we say, okay, I don't know if this is true or not. I think it's not true, but I'm not sure 100%. But let's talk about other kind of actions that you can do, like reduce, prevent, reuse. So recycle can be an option, but this is the last one. So that way is they think, okay, let's talk about reduce, let's talk about prevention, and they're happy because there is an option that you don't have to recycle if you don't create any kind of waste. So that's a solution for them.
Yeah, reducing. And Leo, maybe you could speak to that too. Within a business, is there an argument you can make? I mean, maybe that argument might be easier in Europe uh, than the United States, but maybe not. Maybe it just depends where you live and work in the United States. But how do you get uh, that message through to a business? How do you get people interested in moving forward with it within a business?
Um, Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, in terms of recycling in general, obviously it's just that's what we do. That's how you operate. And I do think it might be harder to sell zero waste to some companies because there are some expenses. Obviously, there's a lot of ways to save money, but there are some expenses as well. Um, for us, again, I have been lucky enough to have a company that really cares about it. So doing the right thing for the environment made intuitive sense, if not also business sense.
Hmm.
Um, so it was easier for me, but yeah, it's hard to say because I don't have the not the benefit, but I haven't had the unfortunate experience of working for a company where they are fighting it.
True. And I guess uh, to Marty's point, when we can make the argument that when you reduce your waste, it's going to cost you less, that'll be a good thing. But I'm not
Right.
sure that we're there everywhere, right? I mean,
Yeah.
especially when we don't have the infrastructure in certain places to be able to do that.
Right.
Hopefully, that's part of what educating people and making them aware of the trash
Exactly.
crisis and the methane coming from the landfills, et cetera, that
Yeah.
these are very urgent things that we need to turn our attention towards.
Hmm.
Um, I guess that leads me to, you know, how can you get your coworkers or employees excited and involved in reducing waste? Are there easy ways that are kind of like an in into that, or is it, a water cooler conversation? Is it a workshop?
Yeah. So for us, it's been sort of a little of all of that. We gamify it. So just in general, we gamify sustainability programs here. So that's a really good way to educate folks, but also make it fun for them. So we do a lot. I think two of our four quarterly challenges are focused around reducing waste. Um, Maybe all of them, to be honest. But so that's a really good way that we've done it. We also do like these really silly, campy videos, again, aimed towards education, but they're silly enough that I think they catch people's attention. They're like, okay, we make it unserious, like
Mhm.
show sort of the fun side of reducing waste. We also do quarterly updates. We do a quarterly sustainability update for our whole company. And so I always try to reflect back what our employees have done so that they're like, oh, okay, my efforts really are paying off. Like I can see now that we've reduced our waste by this much. It matters that I'm recycling instead of throwing the trash, or it matters that I'm composting instead of throwing the trash, that kind of thing. And then we also have a really good green team. Again, that's sort of around education, but also capturing those folks who are passionate about this, and allowing them to be sort of ambassadors and water cooler talkers. Uh, so for us, it's been a lot of all of those things.
Oh, that's great. Well,
Yeah.
that kind of leads me back to Marty. So, I mean, you created an app that has challenges in it. So it seems like that idea of gamification or making things fun for people rather than you must do this, it's a crisis, encouraging people to have fun with it and be social and compete with each other, that may be the way in. What are your thoughts on that, Marty? What's been working for you?
Yeah, yeah. Do you listen to me? Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, for us it was a challenge to explain what is zero waste. But we found out that we grow up like playing games, but when we became adults, we stopped playing games, and we have so much fun playing games. So let's try to create a tool or a game about zero waste, about circular economy, and make people understand that it's just uh, action by action, step by step. And when you just play our game, you understand that it's not that difficult. You just have to start in the easiest, go up and up, and you can become like advanced uh, player, just
Hmm.
overcoming our challenge. And you realize that it's not that difficult, and you get points, and also you get some rewards. Some people use our app in what we do, and some use our app and become just zero wasters because they like our rewards. So that's part of the game.
Wonderful. Um, what's been the most surprising thing Leo, sort of in your journey with zero waste in your company? What surprised you? What made you stop and think a minute?
Yeah. It's been a positive. I think the most surprising thing is how much our people care, how much our employees
Mm,
care. Like it's easy to feel like I'm sort of on this island of sustainability, of zero waste, and then to realize like how much our employees really care about this. It's one thing to be able to see that you're shifting the needle corporately, at our company. Okay, we can see our stats, our numbers, our we really are reducing waste and looking at that. But then to be able to see that it's going beyond that and having people come up to me and tell me that they've started composting at home or they've started training their kids on how to recycle correctly or those types of things, seeing how, okay, we're not just affecting the corporation, we're affecting this is going home with people.
hmm
So it's been a very positive. It's really exciting. And even now, 4.5 years into it, I still get so excited when someone comes up to me and tells me, "Oh, I did this," or "Thank you so much for that," or like just knowing that you're positively affecting somebody's life it's really satisfying and surprising. Because again, I came into it thinking, okay, we're going to handle our trash at the office, but knowing that you're being able to affect much more than that.
That's really great. Marty, how about you? What's been most surprising, in your efforts so far? What have you found that you weren't expecting?
Well, for me, it was a huge surprise and a good surprise that younger people are more concerned about this.
Mm,
When we work with schools, with institutes or universities, the young generation, they are really like into this and they want to become a part of the solution, not part of the problem. So when we offer them the tool and they can like do something about it with our app, they really overcome a lot of challenge. The highest participation rates are with higher schools. So that's good because even if there is a new generations that are really in the good path.
that's great. That's really great. I'm wondering if there's one thing, one waste reducing practice or sort of an easy in that people can do that's a great place to start, whether that's, Marty at home or that's at the business. And Lael, especially for you, what's an easy way somebody could get something started, or a practice they could do themselves at work and start a conversation about?
So at work, individually, I think just like recycle, this sounds so simple, but recycling correctly, like you would not imagine, not believe how difficult that is. Here
Mm,
we have constant campaigns going, educating people how to recycle correctly. I think part of that is that how they recycle at home is sometimes different than how you recycle at the office. And in fact, I have to be honest, we have it at our corporate headquarters, we have two buildings. And one of the buildings actually has different recycling rules than the other. So we've just adopted one set that fits both buildings, but that's just an example of how different it could be at each person's home. So somebody at the office just, recycling correctly and telling your friends how to do it. But I would say for the office itself, for any company that's trying to start, there are a few ways so you can also save money too. But one easy one is just switching over any disposable dishes that you have to reusable dishes. That'll definitely save a company money over time. And if they're still printing, I think really simple one is just set all the printers to default on double-sided so that the
mm,
people, each person at their desk doesn't have to worry about it. But when you go to the printer, it's coming out double-sided unless you tell it not to. It's just a really simple way to make that switch.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. That's like a stealth one.
Yeah. Got to slide it in there however you
Yeah.
can.
How about you, Marty? What's one waste reducing practice, that you could do in the workplace and with a minimal effort that would make a difference?
Yeah, for example, one of the challenges that people like the most is buy this product in bulk, like our reusable container. And we have a map with all the shops that we have around that they sell on bulk. So when they find out that they can buy a lot of their shopping list without creating any kind of waste, they realize, look, that's not that difficult. So they like this challenge a lot. And also a challenge that is go to the mountain or to the river and take 3 pieces of waste. and
Mm.
just take a picture of the waste that you just took from the nature. And they don't do 3 pieces of waste; they do a lot of them, and they send a picture about a huge bag of waste that they just collect in the nature, and we like that so much.
I think that's great because when you're out and about, especially in nature, you do see a lot of trash, and I can understand that if you just take that something to take away garbage with you next time and see how much you get. You think it's not important, but it really is because all that's going to break down, especially the plastics in that environment. So that's a great one. Thank you. Um, have you had, Lael, any influence on, say, business suppliers or customers or your partners because of how your companies or their focus on sustainability and waste reduction?
So I would say, we're a cybersecurity company, so we don't have like physical products. We don't have a whole bunch of suppliers, but the one that I can think of that was pretty telling to me is when I first started, I was meeting with or I was reached out to our swag company, and I was asking, I wanted to do a shirt for our green team, and I was asking for eco-friendly t-shirts, and they had exactly one. It was like $10 more per shirt over all the others that they had. Um, and then through the course of the year, every time I contacted them, I'd be asking about eco-friendly items and that sort of thing. So the following year, when they met with us, they flew down from wherever they're located, and they had over 10 different options of eco-friendly shirts. In fact, every single thing they brought to us was eco-friendly. But their t-shirts alone, they had over 10 options, and several of them were cheaper than the poly blends and that sort of thing. So to see this huge shift in 1 year with this company was pretty impressive. And I'm assuming optimistically that that's the information, or those are the goods that they're sharing with their other companies as well. I'm hoping and optimistically assuming that this is spreading so that their other clients are also purchasing more eco-friendly items.
And just to that point, when you start asking for those things in your business, or
Hmm.
if you in your personal life to a business, you're making them aware that that's what you want to purchase,
Exactly.
and that's what they should start supplying.
Yeah.
Um, Marty, what gives you hope about the future of waste reduction and sustainability? What are you seeing out there? I know you mentioned young people, how passionate they are about it. What gives you hope?
Yeah, but also the new technologies. New technologies are helping us to create new solutions. For example, besides the app, we have been creating an IoT dispenser or a collector machine that is for restaurants and supermarkets, where you can
And I'm
find
sorry, what
reusable.
does that do, Marty?
It's a reusable container machine. It's an IoT dispenser and recollector. So when you go to a restaurant or to a supermarket, you can get from this device reusable containers. So you can buy all your food in a reusable container that we just let you in the device. So these kind of solutions, technological solutions, maybe 10 years ago very difficult, and now with the new technology, with artificial intelligence, with the with the new um, connecting devices, it's easier for us. So we are believers that technology can help us in the path. So we are using them, that new technologies to help in this kind of problems. Where, for example, when you buy products in the supermarket or in the restaurant, but they go all with single-use plastic. So with this solution, we can help these problems.
Yeah, I think that's important that we start trying to. One of the challenges in the app is to actually, for the Zero Waste Month Challenge, is to bring your container from home to the restaurant or bring your
Yeah.
container to the supermarket and take. I was like, I took my leftovers home, in my own container. So I'm looking forward to that one because I always say I'm going to do it and I don't. So that's a good point.
Yeah.
Um, so zero waste, especially for somebody starting out, but I think even for those of us who've been, we're all at different stages in our zero waste journey. But for somebody starting out, what advice would you give? Because it can be intimidating or overwhelming when you start to learn about the depth of the problem in terms of our trash and pollution. but also just how the economies are set up to just make as much as possible, throw it away if it doesn't, sell. So it's just extremely wasteful. So there's a lot of work to do, as we talked about, to change things into a circular economy where products are developed that are well designed and designed to be reused and used again, or to degrade and be compostable. So what do you think someone just starting, what should they know, or what should they feel, or how can you inspire them?
And is that for Marty or for me?
Oh, sorry. How about you first, Leah? Apologies.
No problem, no problem. Um, I think it sort of goes back to that first question. I would say don't think that you have to do everything. And that if you don't do everything, then you shouldn't do anything. So I would say start where it makes the most sense to you. Start with the most comfortable thing. For you, if it's starting to compost, starting to recycle at home, whereas you didn't before, that's awesome. Start there. Or if it's simplest to always have that, like you said, always have a glass container in your car so that when you have to go, you can take the container to the restaurant and take it home with you. Whatever feels most comfortable to you, start there because that's going to be easiest for you. And then once you've got that down, add another thing and add another thing. And I think you'll realize that, oh, this is actually a lot easier than I thought. I don't have to change everything that I do right now. I can change one thing that I do right now. And once that becomes normal, change something else. And once that becomes normal, change something else. And you'll get there. But don't think, oh, since I'm not composting, then I don't really need to recycle. That'll stop anybody in their tracks.
I think the other thing too that's interesting is when you say you bring a reusable cutlery and you use that and openly refuse the
Mhm.
single-use plastic utensils, or if you do bring your own container to a restaurant, or it it's an opportunity for you to start practicing talking about zero waste, or start talking
Yeah.
about what you're doing, and open that conversation up to other people. Often they'll ask, they're like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? What's that? And you
Yeah.
can just easily explain to them, I'm trying to reduce single-use plastic. I'm doing my part.
Right. I
You should.
love that. Yeah, normalize zero waste. I love it.
Marty, how about you? What would you do? You have some advice perhaps for people who are just starting out, who might feel intimidated by all of this?
Yeah, for us, you have a lot of power in your pocket with your money. We say that we have vote every 4 years here in Spain. We vote for a president, but each time you go to shopping, you vote for what kind of society, what kind of environment you want to have in your life. And so when you go to buy a new trainers or a new jeans, you have to think twice. Look, I can buy this new, or can I go to a second-hand shop and buy those for the lower price, and you don't create any kind of waste. And at the same time, when you go to a market, you think, oh, should I buy it in a bulk shop or in a single-use plastic shop? So when you have this power. You are voting each time you buy anything. You are voting which kind of society you want. So we tell them, look, think twice all the time. Whenever you are going to buy something, think twice, and then when they realize, okay, I can do a lot just thinking what I'm going to buy the next thing.
And I think that's a good point, that starting to work on your own uh, use of items, to work on reducing your waste. Um, it's a conscious choice. And as was said, it's very hard to do everything at once, but you can little by little make steps. And it can be a very, I hate to use the word empowering, but it really is. You can start to make choices that make you feel like you make a difference, because you do. Every single thing that you do makes a difference. We didn't talk about before we move on to Q&A that you might want to add?
Um, well, I loved that when you asked Marty what inspires him about the future, he talked about a sort of a technology shift.
Mm-hmm.
Because what was thinking for me, what inspires me is sort of a mind shift that's going on. So I love the idea of like a technology shift and a mind shift changing. And I think on my side, there's a couple things. One is the mind shift at the local government level. I think finally they are realizing that we need to get organics out of the waste stream. It just makes the most sense for them. You know, they're running out of space. They have carbon emissions targets they're going to have to meet. And like if food waste were a country, it would fall third in terms of emissions after China and America. So it's bonkers how large the carbon footprint is for food waste. So I think that eventually jurisdictions are going to come around and realize, okay, we really have no other options. So that inspires me. I really think we'll see a change there. Again, I'm very optimistic, and so I could be wrong. And then the other one, I think people are really waking up to how horrible in so many different ways single-use plastic is, not the least of which is health-wise, right? Like all the microplastics and nanoplastics. So I think as people are becoming more and more aware of that, they're going to be sort of what Marty said. You're voting with your dollars, right? If you're going to stop purchasing things in zero waste, sorry, in single-use plastics, then companies are going to pick up on this and finally start finding alternatives. So that kind of excites me as well, or inspires me.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Marty, how about you? Anything that we didn't discuss that there's a point you'd like to make or tell us about?
No, maybe we talk a lot about a lot of things, maybe but we don't know exactly what is going to be the problem in health issues with all the microplastics that we are eating right now. So when we find out, maybe it's gonna be too late. We don't know.
Well, on that note, I mean, I think it is important for all of us to educate ourselves on what's going on with plastics and microplastics and the latest research. There are some very good documentaries out there about that. So maybe we need to put that as one of the challenges in the app to seek out some information on plastics and what that does to health. All right. Well, thank you so much. I want to open it up to Q&A with our other guests who joined us today. Let's see. Danny, do we have some questions or anyone
I
who?
don't see anyone, but we can open it up to folks that's joining us. So if you have a question and you want to speak out, now's your chance, or you can add it in the chat, whatever you'd like. We'd love to hear from you, though.
And if we don't have any questions for our interviewees today, then I'm going to ask you all some questions, because one of the things we wanted to do today was make sure that we got your inspiration or things that you're going to do in Zero Waste Month. We want to hear from you. So Danny, do you see any questions for our guests?
I don't see anything yet, but maybe it'll take some time for folks to jump in. So
well, that's fine. You can ask that question at any time. So just raise your hand or ask in the chat. Here's the questions for our audience. So if you're a zero waster, what change has been easiest for you to make? Was it using reusable shopping bags? Was it composting? Was it bulk shopping? Is there a small action that you've done that inspired somebody else? Maybe you could tell us how something you did inspired somebody else to try zero waste. Have you gone to any events locally or swap events or compost workshops or cleanups that were really like affected you, that made an impact on you? Maybe you could tell us about that. And then a good question is, how do you, if you're into zero waste, how do you encourage other people, your family, your friends, your coworkers? How do you convince them or encourage them to participate as well without them feeling like you're adding an extra chore? How do you make it fun? And then another question is there something you're going to try this month, like a new zero waste habit, or are you going to have an event? Is there something you're doing? So I'd love to open it up. Just put your hand up and we can call on you if you want to just share anything in that vein. We would really love to hear what you're planning this month, or suggestions and tips.
There was someone, Bree Henry. They wrote in the chat, love these for bringing to restaurants, and they're a collapsible 36-ounce bowl set. that she brings or that they bring to restaurants, which is great to reduce single-use foodware. I thought that was awesome.
Great. Is anyone else doing anything for Zero Waste Month that you'd like to share? If not, I'll share. We're consolidating houses with my sister later on in the year. And so I look in my garage and I look in my closet and I'm like, whoa, there's a lot in there. And so I'm going to have to start going through those things. So my zero waste challenge really for the end part of this year to start this month is to think about, obviously there are things I can reuse, there are things I can donate, there are things I can recycle, but having to go through that in my local community and figure out, does it really get recycled? Or, can I, if I'm going to reuse everything, am I just keeping more stuff? But in going through the stuff, I think I'm going to find a lot of things that I could use that I didn't even know that I had. I mean, I've definitely started just buying used clothes and making a point of telling myself, wear these until they're done. And trying to jazz them up other ways, like with earrings and lipstick, But definitely trying to moderate what I'm using, what it is, and knowing what I have so that I can make sure I'm not buying extra or wasting. If we don't have anybody from the audience, is there anybody on the Race to Zero Waste team or Marty or Lael that would like to share something you're going to do this month?
We actually got a couple of folks in the chat. Caterina Lopez said going back to shampoo / conditioner bars, which is a great option to reduce plastic.
Those are good. I like them.
And then Sheila Sullivan said, I carry glass food containers in my car for leftovers at restaurants. That's great. That's awesome. Yeah, that's a good one. Bree again, whenever I need something new, I first check on Marketplace or OfferUp for used one first. Same with clothes. ThreadUp is a great website for clothes. Very true. Yeah. I love ThreadUp. Marketplace also is a great resource for household things or honestly, whatever you could think of. Marketplace is great.
Right on. Lael's got her hand up. How about you, Lael?
Yeah, I was going to say, building off of what Sheila said, I carry the glass containers and then I forget to use them. So this month, my goal is going to be to actually use those containers when I carry them. But also, when you all were talking about ThreadUp and everything, I love Buy Nothing, the Buy Nothing groups on Facebook, and I think they're everywhere, but they're all local. Like I'm in a Buy Nothing Palm Harbor, and then I have a friend he lives, I would think in the same town, but he's in a different Buy Nothing group. So they're very local, and he has not bought anything new for at least 2 years now because he literally just gets everything there, and it's taken some like compromise on his part. Like he wanted to put in a new fan in his living room, but he's convinced or he's attached to Buy Nothing, so he had to put in a fan that didn't really match, but he paid $0 for it, and it's a statement that he wants to make to himself and to his family, and it's a commitment he wants to make. So it's really cool. Like I said, I found some really good stuff. Like, in fact, when I wanted to compost, I wanted to switch over from these little, I mean, I've always been composting, but inside my kitchen, I was using these plastic to-go containers. And then I realized I don't want my compost to be in plastic. And then that's what I'm putting in my garden, right? So I wanted to switch over to metal coffee tins, except I don't drink coffee. So I couldn't believe it, but somebody actually had like 4 metal coffee tins they gave me from Buy Nothing because for whatever reason they were saving them. So that's a really good resource.
That's great. Thank you, Leah.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Suggestions, tips, inspiration? Oh, hi, Marty.
For example, I have a small daughter now, and now that is Halloween coming, I would try to make a costume for her without kind of buying anything, just with all the materials that I have at home, like recycling materials that I have for another customer costumes. So I will just make a new costume for my daughter with reuse materials. And I think it's a good challenge for this month.
Question for you on the costume. does the materials you're going to recycle with define the costume, or does your daughter have an idea of what she wants and then you need to make that?
No, it will be the materials that I find in my house that will be make the costume. So we have no idea what's going to be.
Even better.
Yeah.
That's a good point, is that one of the things that can be fun, and you'll find these challenges as well in the app, is that being creative, there's a lot of creativity and fun that can be involved in figuring out new ways to reuse things or clever ways to um, not spend more money. Because if you think about it, it's all out there. It's there. It's just not right in front of you. So if you can figure out how to make what you need or find what you need, you'll pay a lot less for it and be doing a great thing. Oh, Lael, we have you again.
You just can't shut me up now.
Oh.
I'm just getting inspired by so much of what you all are saying, and I think that's a huge one that you just hit on right there, that creativity. Like it actually becomes, it's like solving a puzzle or, you know, tapping into that engineer side of your mind, to come up with creative solutions. Like it's something that my kids love at home. It's thing, and I've turned to that at times where we've had financial issues at home. Suddenly I find that I'm much more creative than I realized. You know, I can do a lot more with no money than I thought. But before that, I was actually raising my hand because I was going to suggest one thing that we just did last month, a couple of weeks ago here at the office. But if anybody's interested in doing it with their friends or something, we had a plant swap, which was wildly popular. We actually did it in 8 of our offices around the globe, you know, in different countries. But I can only speak to the U.S. one because I was here. But it's a really fun way to not have to spend any money and suddenly have a whole bunch of new plants. And I think some of us, like I find myself always propagating plants just because I love to do that and I can't stand the idea of like killing a plant or killing a seed or whatever. So I end up having all these extra plants at home going, I don't know what I'm going to do with these. So it's a really fun way to be able to share that with other folks, and none of you are spending money and suddenly you have all these different plants, indoor or outdoor. But just a fun way again to in a way it's not really zero waste because it's, you know, if you throw away that plant, it's just going to be organic, it'll be fine, but it's a cool way to not spend money and to spread the love.
Well, and if you think about it, especially for indoor plants, the ones that can survive indoors and do well and thrive are the ones that generally clean the air, which is very good for you. Plus, having that greenery around gives you a good feeling. It helps with your mood. And if you look at all the big box stores where a lot of these things are purchased, the amount of fertilizer and, sometimes you'll see a clearance rack there where they've just let 400 plants die and pick it while it's still alive and try to rescue it. So you think of the amount
Yeah,
of resources that went into keeping those alive when they weren't even sold. So
that's totally true.
saving a lot by just, clipping a little piece off and, sharing your plants with someone else, rather
Yeah.
than all of those resources used to keep alive plants that, you know, are probably or were probably designed to die anyway.
Yeah, very good point.
You have to buy another one. Not saying that's true, just throwing it out there. Anybody else have any ideas or things that they're going to do this month?
I have
Or
an idea.
jumpstart?
Well, it's more of a comment. Good morning. I have 2 teenage kids, and I have an adult son, and so teenagers are very expensive, and they want lots of what everyone else is doing, or wearing and using, and so um, one of the things that we've really enjoyed doing is doing clothing swaps with the other kids at the high schools, because one season it's in, the next season it's out. And so clothing swaps are a great way for them to earn community service hours. They can set up a little table at lunch, during their lunch break, and they can bring in stuff. As long as they keep it neat and they follow the school rules, they do a great job of exchanging jeans and t-shirts and hats and jackets. It's really a great way to do things. And also our children, my husband and I, we have very active children, very active teens, and they are both into sports and they're both into theaters, and we swap a lot with other parents. I really think that when you're raising kids, making sure that they have enough is key, and everything we need is in the communities that we build. So I would just encourage, if you have a family, if you have a network of people that you love and that you want to help, I think that more than ever in this time of our history, mutual aid, or the practice of mutual aid, is a powerful way that we speak to those in power. We can support each other in so many ways. And so even simple things like the clothing swap. And I love that here where I live, Sacramento State University has just started its own like little free college store for all kids moving in. You can get a lamp, you can get a little couch, you can get blankets, you can get clothing, you can get a small fridge. And NYU just rolled out, New York University just rolled out same sort of program. I just think it's a beautiful thing because we can really come together. All we need in this life is right in front of us.
That's a good point, Myrna. Thank you. Anybody else? Anything you'd like to share? All right. Well, then I'm going to just wrap us up. First of all, I'm so thankful for Lael and Marty being with us today to help kick off October 2025 Zero Waste Month. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for the conversation. Also, we have more interviews coming up. Our theme next Thursday, is back to basics. So this is really the idea of things that they did in the past or that other communities are still doing that we think of as zero waste now, but they're just the way that people lived or live in certain communities where they aren't producing as much waste, and they do reuse and recycle and compost. So this is going to be a very practical conversation on things that you can do, items you can use, ways you can do that. So if you're interested in learning more about that, so we'd love to have, seasoned zero wasters who know what's up, and then have met those challenges, and then people who are interested in how can I start, and we can give you have a conversation about just the easy ways to do that. The following week on the 16th, we've got 3 wonderful youth leaders. They are community advocates. They are wonderful, the stuff that they get done and how they're influencing their peers, but also local government. So we have a young lady from Louisiana, one from South Florida, and then also joining us, a young woman from Nepal. So that's going to be a great one. And then our final one will be the last week in October, and that is Zero Waste Baby. So we've got 2 people on staff here and possibly some special guests who just had their babies, who are zero waste moms. So if you're zero waste grandma or you're zero waste mom, or you just want to know what that looks like, great. That's going to be a great conversation as well. So again, don't forget to visit our website. That's zerowastemonth.org, and get the app, start the challenge. 2 $100 gift certificate winners. Yeah, and tell us what you're up to on social media. We'd love to hear from you. So please participate. Please feel inspired. It's going to be a great month, and we hope to hear from you. So thank you so much, everyone, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.